Expressed in the following are those of its participants and do not necessarily reflect those of the producers and the Six Talk Podcast Network. Also, the following contains mature material and mild language, which may not be suitable for all audiences. Discretion is advised.
Well, here we go. How often do we do a late night stream that's not at Anime North because of delays? First of all, to anybody watching this live or watching what will be the delayed copy on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. It's Mike Nicolas here in 6 points. Kevin Ng is at home. And
good evening.
Yeah. So we're just for the sake of doing something. We're both up. We decide to just have a chat by the space heater tonight. I will start though by asking just quickly, Kevin, yes or no? Yes or no? Should we count gaming streams, live Twitch streams, as part of quota?
I don't see why not.
I'm of the belief yes, which meant we met quota, quota was met more roughly 10 days ago when I did that first stream.
Just one thing to keep in mind in the future is for the live message, have some templates ready if you don't already. Just because when I saw us going live, I saw the mentioning of your previous stream, which was referencing Yakuza.
Well, it was Yakuza, right? Oh, you mean this?
Because the message was still saying, "See how Mike can screw up the."
Oh, you mean for this?
Stream.
Oh, this
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter now because we're live, but just something to keep in mind in the future.
I did not know that. I did not know. Here, let me just see what I just did. Talk shows, podcasts. I'm looking at this. Yeah, it's a podcast anyway. I'm just looking at the settings now. Oh, I didn't set it up. I didn't set it up there properly, did I? Okay.
Well,
silly me.
It's just habit.
Yeah. Well, silly me, I guess. So that means I'm still referencing Yakuza to anybody watching this live. Great.
Well, to anybody who may have gotten the notification that we went live, that is.
Yeah, all 5 of them. Anyway.
Well, how many followers are there? How many followers do we have? Because I'm not on Twitch at the moment.
Yeah, give me a sec. Oh, wow. It says so here on my phone, too. Okay. Well, I'll double check that a bit later on, I guess. I think we're at like roughly 10, give or take, for followers. Thanks for the follow, by the way, Kevin.
Yeah, so it's more than 5.
Yeah, it is more than 5. You're right. Okay, so, well, beyond that, how much did I really screw that up that badly? That very first time?
The notification is not a big deal, honestly.
Yeah, people will come in if they want to. I mean, people know we're there, I guess. People will know right now we're there. So, yeah. I mean, there's nothing else. There's nothing to really mention at the moment in that respect. Just I'll do another one hopefully before the end of the week. Could be as early as tomorrow, depending on how I feel. And yes, I will give people a few hours notice. As soon as I really have a sense as to when I'll do it, I'll let people know, and hopefully I'll figure out a way that maybe I can get all of you guys, like you, James, Mo, Amy, just to sit in and chat while I'm playing or something, or just to just to casually chat there, right? And it will probably be even less focused and probably just more casual conversations. But this was the idea of the space heater chats. So any other feedback though I should be aware of concerning the first stream? Did I punch it badly, or it's okay for a first time? Or was it, just let it evolve?
For a first time, it was fine.
It was fine? It really was.
The only thing that I would suggest in the future is to not publicly dox people.
Oh, as in refer to them by name?
Yeah, just because you technically did dox me when you did the recording with James. Granted, it probably won't matter just because, we're small peas right now, but
at a point, I guess.
Yeah, it's just something to keep in mind, like, to not automatically, like, reference who people are just for the sake of privacy reasons.
That's on me then. It's just Hero Harmony, who I was on his live stream when he was doing Anime North. That's why, and we referred to, so we referred to each other by our names, and that's how that happened, I guess. And the couple conversations I've had with Hero, they've been great, and I'll lean on people like him as the process goes, right? Because he's doing it actively himself. Probably seeing less than really not as nearly as many. Like we're seeing about the same number of viewers right now, I think, on average. Maybe he has a little bit more because he's done it a little longer and has gained some friends in the process, right? So this is what we're going to try and figure out for the moment. But that's that's neither here nor yon. We'll figure out that process as we go along, and this isn't why we're streaming right now, right? Okay. Yeah. Well, I've been wanting to keep this to have this conversation for a little while because it's been more than a month, I guess, since the idea for this came to head. And like I've wanted to have a conversation about Asian music with you for a little while, for more than a month. And a lot of the stuff I want to talk about has been pretty much out there since just before the new year, quite honestly. So actually, we'll get to that in a second. And I know you went to see, on the topic of J-pop and J-rock artists who've been in Toronto lately. You went to see something recently, right?
Yeah, I did. I went to go see Mad Kid and Nano a week and a half ago now. That was held at what they now just call the concert hall, formerly known as the Masonic Temple.
Cool.
And then there is one concert that I did not go see, and I ultimately chose not to go to the aespa concert, even though I was intending to go.
Well, how was the Nano and Mad Kid concert? Like they appeared as a together, right?
Yes, it was a duo tour.
Mm-hmm.
So Mad Kid would perform first, and they would do their set, and then Nano would come out afterwards, did her set, and then during the encore, Nano would do one song, and then the lead singer for Mad Kid came out and they did a collab song, and then the rest of Mad Kid came out and they did a couple more songs. They ended it with a cover of that one famous Naruto opening theme song by Flo. I think it is Go, yeah.
Well, let's see. I wish I had a little bit of quick image from that, right? I don't. Well, I mean, was it a good crowd? Honestly speaking, was that a good crowd? Like, what did it look like from your from your perspective? Did it look like it was a good crowd there?
Well, I think it was a good crowd. It wasn't a big crowd, but it was a good crowd. I'd say the venue is only at most half full, not factoring in the balcony, because some people were in the balcony, which I guess is evident because the tickets did go on sale maybe 2 weeks before the concert. So that was when I decided to buy my ticket.
There wasn't much of a lead up, was there?
Well, there was maybe 2 months or so, maybe 3 months. I don't claim to remember how long it was on sale for, but I think it was evident that there wasn't that much demand for it, even though both Nano and Mad Kid have done their fair share of songs from different anime.
Well, Mad Kid seems to have something for Toronto these days too. They were at Anime North this year, last year, right?
Yeah,
correct.
I imagine that did play a factor in coming back.
Well, I mean, I did see a little bit of their appearance at Anime North, and if it's worth something, it went over. Well, the audience was eating it up, right? But
I didn't get to see the whole concert either. I watched maybe a third of it, and then I left because I was entertaining other friends. But I liked what I saw, so that's why I did feel compelled to go see them live. I know Nano is a good singer too, and this is the same Nano that also appeared on Trash Taste in the distant past. So,
wow.
So it was curious to see her perform, and yeah, she's pretty good.
Well, I mean, I don't know what else to add. I can't say I'm totally familiar with either of them. I mean, I did see Mad Kid for a couple of minutes, and yes, I had to leave early myself to set up for that night's taping of the podcast because I was on the Saturday of Anime North.
Yeah, Nano has this nice, like, husky, deep kind of voice.
That goes for something.
Yeah,
right? That actually goes for something for female artists.
Yeah, it's a little refreshing because
it is.
You do hear higher pitches,
and sometimes it just gets on your nerves, actually. Right. So to see the idea, and as I'm saying this, not having really not listened to Nano, the idea just sounds, I could go with that. I could dig that.
Yeah, her outfit was very Nana Osaki coded, I would say.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah,
that's one way to put it. But there you go. Masonic Temple, the concert hall. What's it called again?
Miss Nana.
Huh?
Oh, you missed Nana.
25th anniversary.
I wish Yazawa could muster the strength to continue it, but I'm not counting on it at this point.
Well, what the 25th anniversary edition's coming out soon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's it called again? It's not the Masonic Temple anymore. What's it called again?
That's not its official name anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it called again? Refresh my memory.
I believe it's just called the concert hall. I'm gonna double check, but
okay. The facility that Kevin's referring to, and let me see if I can call up a picture of it. But
yeah, it's just called the concert hall now.
Yeah, I'll let me just quickly show a picture of it as it's been known to look in the past.
This lack of creativity in renaming these venues is something else. It's disappointing, honestly.
Maybe it's a corporate thing.
Well, I don't know who owns the building. I forgot who it was, or who it is, but
that's what it looked like in what is it? In a century ago. There you go. There.
And now, think of anything else?
Well, like, I'm looking at other pictures. I'm just looking at other pictures. Well, let me scroll down a little bit.
from the Sky Dome to the Rogers Center.
Yeah, there's the Masonic there's the Masonic Temple name and word mark now.
The Molson
CTV years
to the Budweiser stage,
which we'll refer to in a couple seconds. 2021. There's a picture. There's a picture of what the Masonic Temple might have looked like, or the concert hall would have looked like in roughly 2021. And its first location. Okay. Well, that's what it looks roughly what it looks like today. So the concert hall. It says the CTV years, as you see in the headline there. Yes, this was used roughly 20 years ago. So roughly, it says 1999. So we're talking that around that period, roughly 25 years ago. The Masonic Temple, the now concert hall, it was purchased by CTV and it was used as a television studio. And some of the shows that were taped out of it, Open Mic with Mike Bullard. So Canada's first real attempt at a late night talk show came out of that. Looking at some of my own personal history, Talk TV was also worked out of there, and that eventually became one of the first attempts at the E Network affiliate in Canada. And but as Talk TV, Seamus O'Regan, who's a Canadian politician now, and I think an outgoing cabinet minister. I don't think he's running for election again. He'll run for re-election. But he had a show on that, and one of his sidekicks at the time was an up-and-coming broadcaster by the name of Ben Mulrooney, who it didn't dawn upon me when I saw him for the first time that he was the son of Brian Mulrooney, the late former Prime Minister of Canada, who passed away last year. He was an up-and-coming broadcaster at that point. We appeared on, myself and Neil and even Simon, we appeared briefly on that because they want to have a talk segment about anime. And I sat in on the audience and Neil appeared in that segment as an expert, which I wish we had the tape of. And I just remember my memory of that was we talked anime, but Seamus O'Regan especially went into that segment cold, not really knowing too much. It was a very, very interesting segment. And I have to say, Ben Mulrooney was there because he was tracking some of the chat at the time, which was kind of which, as you might imagine, almost 25 years ago would have been kind of primitive compared to our standards today. Just want to say a quick hello. Don't know who you are, but thank you for watching on Twitch. I know you're there. Thanks. So thank you for tuning in while we're talking live. Everybody involved since have gone on to bigger and better things, except myself and Neil.
Wow.
That's shooting yourself in the foot right there. But yeah, I've been to the Masonic Temple. I did go to the Masonic Temple when CTV handled the place. But yeah, that's my memory.
The last time I went to the Masonic Temple was when Junji Ito, the famous horror manga artist, came to do a live drawing as part of the programming for the Toronto Comic Arts Fest.
So it has been used. For TCAF in recent years.
That was pre-pandemic and back when it was still called the Masonic Temple.
You have a thought? We did bring this up. You have a thought about it going to Maple Leaf Gardens, or as it's called now, where we're on this theme, the Mattamy Athletic Center? You have a thought about it going there next year or this year, more like it?
I'm curious how that's going to turn out.
I would say they'll make it work if they. I mean, I can't see why it wouldn't work because you can use the main floor, like the main arena floor, the concourse up there, and if you're willing to use the facilities down below, especially the basketball court area, that wouldn't hurt it either. So
I mean, I do feel like they were starting to outgrow the Toronto Reference Library. But then I just think of how big Maple Leaf Gardens is
in its current state, right? In its current state.
So, and it'll be pretty cool for me to finally go into that building for the first time because I've never been in
any form
Gardens. I've never been to Maple Leaf Gardens in any form.
I never saw Maple Leaf Gardens in its glory time, right? When it was home of the Leafs in the up until 1999. So I only became familiar with it over the last 15 years when on the topic of things being renamed, when Toronto Metro University, Toronto Metro University, when it took over and took the facilities as the home of its two main varsity teams, its hockey team and its basketball.
Formerly Ryerson University.
Formerly Ryerson. I actually went to the first Ryerson game at Maple Leaf Gardens. That was the first time I ever visited it. Actually, was it? Might have been. Or did I visit the Loblaws the next door that also sprouted up and as part of the partnership between Ryerson and Loblaws? Anyway, that's
I'm assuming the Mattamy is Mattamy Homes, right?
Yeah. Peter, more specifically, Peter Gilgan. He was the big benefactor. But the story behind that was Ryerson's money was just short. Ryerson's money was just short of being able to pay for the upgrades they needed to make to the building to make it their own, right? For other specs. But then Peter Gilgan donated the difference, and so that's why the facility is named after his company. Right?
Interesting.
So, and that's what that's how it looks. That's how it looks now. But that's the story behind all that and the concert hall. Well, but let's get to the stuff we really wanted to talk about. And this is the stuff I wanted to talk about since early January. And I just wanted to pick your brain on this since out of the five of us, you seem to be the most in tune to the current music scene as it comes to much of Asia.
Can I just say one more thing before we do that?
Sure.
I can't believe that SM Entertainment would not have would not be able to program that aespa concert so that they wouldn't lip sync.
Oh, yeah, you did go on a small rant about that a few days ago.
So I learned a week before the concert that concert was 80% lip synced. And the parts that they didn't lip sync were for the songs where they didn't have choreography.
Oh, okay. So yeah, well, it's, dancing and singing at the same time. I suppose singing and dancing. Oh,
because tickets freed up 2 weeks ago, or 2 weeks before the concert, I should say, because the concert has already happened.
Karumba Man says, "LOL, the crowd looked dead too." Which concert is Karumba Man referring to?
I'm going to assume he means the aespa concert, I'm assuming it's. I know who that is, but
yeah,
basically, you're telling me, okay, the 100s, the face value of those tickets was $500, and I am not going to pay $500 for lip syncing, because we can talk about the amazing dances all we want, because I'm sure the dancing was great, but if I'm going to pay that much money, I want some fucking singing. I want to hear singing.
We're not going to be taken off the air because you swore, right?
No, swearing is fine. You only get in trouble for copyright music. And because even when I last checked, tickets were maybe around $300 for ones in the back, and they were resell. And so when I saw the reports from other people saying that, oh yeah, at other concerts it was lip synced, my gut reaction was like ugh. And that was all I needed to know for myself to not go in the end.
Okay, so
it's disappointing for me because I really wanted to go. They are one of my favorite K-pop girl groups of like that generation.
Can I give a comparable that comes to mind and then see how these two disappointments compare? Is it does it feel as disappointing as having the last Hatsune Miku concert on a big screen?
Oh.
Is it that level? Like, I mean, I don't know which would be considered more disappointing.
Oh, no, the lip syncing would be more disappointing to me because Miku's not real anyway. That is all heavily produced regardless when it comes to the music and the singing. So I come to expect that.
I'm sorry, Kern, but man, that's just what came to mind. Okay, and what also comes to mind is, well, how much did people pay for the Taylor Swift concerts? But she did actually sing. So I'm just putting that out there.
And I think of how I paid around $130 US to go see Mamamoo perform live in suburban New York, and there was no lip syncing.
I was about to say those verses were real, right?
As well.
Okay.
But see, I know because they're my favorite group. So this will sound biased, but I know that Mamamoo is known to sing well live.
Mm-hmm. ITZY. Just in recent concerts. Since we talked at length about ITZY last year.
ITZY did have some backtrack, but for the most part sung live.
Okay.
But I won't lie. I bought a cheap resale ticket for ITZY. I only paid, I think, $115, which I bought on the day of the concert.
Yeah, you did mention this story. Yeah, I do. And they haven't, and that place hasn't seen a K-pop concert since. Okay,
like for $100, I would have considered going to aespa, but not. I'm not going for $300 to $500. No way.
And not to hear a track, right? Anyway, but on the topic of me getting on the topic, and you just notice I kind of got the terms J-pop and K-pop mixed up, and I guess that's the heart of what I wanted to talk about here. So let's get down to let's talk about this for a little bit because I want to pick your brain specifically on this. Late last year, around just after Christmas, I'm going to show this article here. Cloud9. Real Sound in Japan. This is a translation of the article, and a good summary of the article actually exists on animecorner.me. So we'll put the link for that a bit later on. But read the headline: Cloud9 CEO Takuya Chigura looks back on 2024. Quote, and this is a translation: "The thing I want to avoid most is regret," as he looks ahead to establishing J-pop overseas. There's a good look at Mr. Chigura. He heads the Cloud9 agency, which is the agency behind Ado. I don't keep up with the current J-pop scene, but I come to learn about how significant she has become in the J-pop world. And she's what I read about her is quite interesting, to say the least. She's never shown her face, as far as we know. And every version, every public appearance she's made, she's managed to keep her privacy.
We'll see for how long.
Let's see for
she's not the first one to have hidden her face.
And has anyone who's made the attempts since been successful in doing so all the way through?
Well, so Eme used to not show her face either, but eventually she did. of her own volition, of course. I don't think Claris ever showed their faces either, although they've changed. Like the members have changed every so often. Originally, it was
this happens every so often.
Also, Man on a Mission never shows their face either because they all wear wolf masks.
Yeah, you know what? I'm beginning to think more and more about artists who really don't make themselves visible in that sense. What do you? Is there something you want to say about Otto? Just before I continue this thought. I mean, just as I said, I'm not as familiar with her. I've learned a little bit, but not that much at this stage, and I still have to watch a little more. And this is not totally what we're talking about, but what caught your attention?
She has a great voice. Okay. Also has that kind of husk to it at times too. Like she can hit high notes. We were just talking about. She hits high notes as well, but she kind of has this like husk to her voice. And I won't lie, I really appreciate when a woman has a huskier voice when they sing.
Okay. I know there's a second person watching. Thanks for tuning in on Twitch as we continue to talk about all this. Okay, so here's the takeaway from all of this. For the sake of the anime discussion, these are some of the talking points from what Chigura said in the Real Sound interview. And I'm going to go through what I wrote down, and then we can just go through it. Okay. I think the big takeaway was J-pop as it is can't rely on anime now. Anime, as he looks at it, is still too niche. Japanese music, but the Japanese music share globally is quite small when compared to anime. So he fears that J-pop's growth and Japanese music's growth will be limited to anime's size. Basically, its ceiling will be based on anime's ceiling, and he doesn't feel that's all that high right now anyway. And and compounding his concerns, I guess, is that because of K-pop's current position and it becoming synonymous with J-pop with Asian pop itself, I'm getting all these terms mixed up. But with it becoming more synonymous with Asian pop as a whole, he fears J-pop will be a niche always in the shadow of K-pop, I guess. So his hopes is that J-pop establishes itself on its own merits globally by itself. And he pins his hopes on artists like Ado and her I wrote the terms Vocaloid-ish collection, very Sharon Apple-like. But and my thought, and I guess coming back to Ado, is Ado the next step from Miku? I learned of this article in the Anime-nomics newsletter by Richardson Hanjaja, the former editor of My Anime Lists, I believe. Had a nice conversation with him too. So hopefully we'll be able to talk with him a little more. So he added a few more contexts. Japan losing grip on second largest music market. Too complacent on being just successful in Japan. 2020 overseas licensing in Korea was roughly 680 million. 2021 overseas licensing from Japan is 10 million. And those are pretty interesting figures, or a little bit problematic, because the way Japan sets itself up is it doesn't have any way of calculating the overall overseas music exports. So because of that, it doesn't know how best to use its resources to expand. But there seems to be a general fear of J-pop being pigeonholed either by anime's current niche appeal or having its identity swept away by K-pop as quote-unquote K-pop-like. Sorry, I'm reading all my notes and then have at it afterwards. Okay, Kevin?
Sure.
So J-pop wants to ride the waves or wants to ride the waves of whatever the popularity is right now with Asian music, but in the end, it wants to establish its own ID. Therefore, a future where J-pop lacking its own ID on the global stage is thus conflated. I guess I wrote this almost verbatim. Conflated with other broadly similar forms of music that have focused much more on international growth and load, and rode the wave of streaming becomes a bleak and riding the wave of streaming becomes a bleak possibility. So as I said, it's lacking its own ID. I gotta put I'll put a link to the Real Sound interview and then just run it through your Google Translate and you can get a better sense. But my own, having said all of this, just from what I've said and what we've talked about already on this topic, Kevin, what's your take? Do you have a take on this? Or
that's a lot of words to throw at me, Mike.
Okay, well, let's go through maybe the key one, which is one. Do you think J-pop's appeal is limited by it being Annie songs, so to speak?
To some degree, yes.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, because one could argue any exposure is good exposure. But I will say that the current Japanese market, I think they're still having problems trying to promote themselves outside of anime. Because...
And when we say this, sorry to interrupt, but when we say this, as in outside of Japan?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'd say outside of Asia, like outside of East Asia, more specifically. Okay. Because I think about it like this. K-pop, as we know it now, has always produced very good music videos. You could argue that they're overproduced, but the way these videos are edited and polished makes it very appealing to a Western audience. Japanese music videos, by and large, have kind of sucked for 2 decades now. I think it's gotten better nowadays, but I still feel like the music videos sometimes use there are not as many cuts. I think K-pop cuts too often, to be honest, but that's what the audience is receptive to. Because right now with Korean pop music, you have a lot of groups. Like almost every single K-pop act that's popular is in a group. There aren't a lot of soloists. People usually become soloists after their initial contract with their company expires while in a K-pop group. Very few debut as soloists. In Japan, you have a much bigger variety.
That could go either way, really. Now I think about it. Sorry.
But the thing, too, is that Korean idols and Japanese idols are very different, because at least the stereotypes as such, because when I think of K-pop idols, I think of groups like Big Bang or 2NE1 or Blackpink or ITZY or Stray Kids or BTS. Like these are all like, they have a more pop style that resonates with like international audiences. When I think of idols in the Japanese sense, I think of those mega huge girl groups that have like 20 plus girls on them, like your AKB48s, like Morning Musume back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like that kind of music just doesn't appeal to Western audiences as much.
The super group?
Like that style of pop music is just not like it's not as appealing. It's hard to market that kind of stuff because the dance routines are also like not that appealing to Western audiences either, I feel.
Like J-pops.
Yes, but granted, that's just one segment of like Japanese music. You have plenty of other great music acts in Japan, but then like Japanese music companies for so long didn't want to promote outside of Japan at all because they didn't need to. Because Japan is the second biggest music market in the world. So for so long, and even this is still the case today for the most part, a lot of these music acts don't feel the need to leave Japan or leave Asia because they do just fine without the rest of the world's help. And for so long, like we had to jump through like rings of fire to watch a full 4-minute music video because if they ever did put a music video up on YouTube, it was a shortened 2-minute version.
It wasn't just that; it was also likely to be taken down, probably just as quickly.
Yeah, and it may have been taken down. Like, whereas Korean music never really had that issue. Like, they had no qualms like putting their music videos up on social media platforms and video sharing sites. That allowed K-pop to have the exposure over time. Like, we never had issues like listening to like Big Bang or Psy or 2NE1. Like,
there's a name. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
because Psy was around for ages, long before Gangnam Style.
Mm-hmm.
But you never hear about people trying to find Gangnam Style, whereas like trying to find like the big Ayumi Hamasaki song or the big Kumikoda song or the big SMAP song or the big Hikaru Utada song, like we had to
Nami
really
Amuro,
yeah, or Nami Amuro, like we had to dig around like illegal. We have to dig around places like Napster to find like to download our MP3s of that, or we had to like be lucky that someone ripped the music video and put it up somewhere, and hopefully didn't get it taken down, or
which is still happening, by the way.
Yeah, like it's getting better now for Japan, right? Like I feel like some of these music companies are starting to kind of loosen. They're starting to loosen up finally in that regard. It's because they were like, well, why would we want to just make this free? Like, because usually when you bought the deluxe CD album, it would come with the music video on a DVD, so you'd have to pay for it. So they probably wanted people to pay for it, and they didn't care about the international audience.
Go figure, though. Go figure. They didn't care for it, but the market's changed and the needs are changing, right? Because your domestic market, I guess. Well, we've had these conversations before. Your domestic market is shrinking. And it's not generating the money you want out of it now.
Yeah, like
so. This is where we are.
Like
this is where the industry is there.
The type of pop music, like in Japan, is for the most part still fairly different from Korean music, as I said before. Like you're getting more like you're getting more stuff now. Like I look at Ado, I look at Rayol as like two examples of like, yeah, this type of music is pretty like appealing to Western audiences. Like, Japan's catching up, but it's gonna take time because right now we only have anime. Like we still can. It's still very hard to watch J-dramas right now. Like I know there are avenues, but you don't hear people talking about J-dramas nearly as much as K-dramas nowadays. Because a lot of songs will come from these from K-dramas as well.
Oh yeah, they are tying themselves, and they're quite okay, I guess, doing that.
And that's where you'll get more soloists.
In K,
you get a lot of songs from soloists from K-dramas, I find.
Okay, well, I mean,
yeah,
I mean, it's weird because remember we've had these talks before. Obviously, we've this is another angle to the long time conversations, and this is how Korea's designed it. This is how the K-pop industry has designed it. They've designed all of this for the international appeal. That wasn't something that came to mind with J-pop for a long time. Like they've marketed it. All their ecosystem surrounds not necessarily going that way. Whereas with, as I said, with Korea, with K-pop stuff, that's exactly what they want to do at some point.
And this is not limited to just music videos. This is limited to the legal streaming of the songs themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just YouTube. We're also talking places like Apple Music and Spotify and Tidal, where like some companies just don't have their stuff up on Spotify.
Yeah, some companies probably have to get with it then.
Like for a long time, a lot of Sony Music Japan's like back catalog of artists were not on Spotify.
It's a weird thing. I think we've constantly harped on this. There's been so many opportunities for Japanese companies to take advantage of this and capitalize, but for whatever reason, for various reasons, for reasons that we've often tried to speculate and harp on.
Like I imagine that sometimes they pick one platform over another,
or they just don't care. At the time, they just are so protective of their properties, of getting. They're so protective of their copyrights. They kind of lose the bigger picture in that.
Like
sense.
I know with what they're called, Startup Entertainment or Starto Entertainment, formerly Johnny's.
Oh, we're gonna go there a bit later.
It wasn't until former president and rapist Johnny Kitagawa died before their stuff became more widely available.
Then a bunch of other things happened there, right? Then we really knew what Johnny Kitagawa was like.
And I know, I think it's like Flying Dog, I think is the group, or it might be EMI. I don't remember the exact company name off the top of my head, but they were the ones that had like a lot of the Macross rights, like rights to a lot of the Macross songs, amongst a bunch of other like artists that have done like anime songs. For years, their stuff wasn't on Spotify. Only I think 2 or 3 years ago, that finally started going up. Like they finally started uploading them onto Spotify. Same with Sony Japan, like I said before. So before, like, I never wasn't able to listen to most of Kana Nishino's music, and then finally I was able to. Or Nobody Knows, or who else?
Yeah,
I can't remember who else, but
it took a while. But that list keeps going, right? And that list would go on and on. I get it. And maybe, and I think maybe, I guess that's where Chigura was. Chigura was expressing, I guess, the frustration of missing. I'd like to think was expressing the frustration of how they've missed that boat to this point, right? And maybe the consequences of missing the boat to this point.
In my opinion, artists like Ado, Yoasobi, and Creepy Nuts are getting more popular outside of Japan, and anime was a major factor, especially now that anime is becoming more acceptable among normies. Yep, 100%.
I guess that's that's my takeaway too. Is it okay? So there's a balance between like, okay, I'll meet Chigura's concerns. Chigura's concerns, and I have to. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name properly there. So do we just go ends justify the means anyway?
Chiquita, yeah.
Chiquita?
Yeah.
I said, oh, yeah, you're right. I'm Chiquita's concerns. Don't at me, please. Okay, so do we go with the whole ends justify the means? Because that seems to be a lot of what we say, right? Do we disagree with? Do we agree with Chiquita's concerns, or do we have to say, okay, so try to get it to stand up on its own merits by itself, not tying yourself to other forms of entertainment, not tying yourself as an Annie song, not tying yourself as a soundtrack to J drama, which really doesn't have isn't a thing at this point.
Well, the big music groups just have to put out more acts to counteract this, and they need more. They need to make better music videos. Okay, I look at XG, for example. They're a Japanese girl group, and they're working within the South Korean K-pop system. So even though they're Japanese, they sing in English, but they're doing all their promotions in South Korea because they're trying to appeal to the K-pop market. Very interesting choice, I have to say.
Well, maybe it's also just to learn. Maybe just to learn the promotion system there, right? I mean, okay, I get it, and there is like, you don't know what type of relations. Like, obviously there's always tensions between Korea and Japan. It's historic. We get that.
Also, and a good evening to Hero Harmony, and a good evening to Karumba Mine as well.
Oh, I've already acknowledged Karumba Man. So
yeah,
and there's Hero, so who we just talked about earlier.
It's they have a lot of catching up to too. That's just the long and short of it.
Yeah, I guess the part of it I'm going at is I guess I generally agree with the whole ends justify the means. Tie yourself to what's already popular in terms of Japanese pop culture, because that's your entry point. Yes, you will have to go on your own merits in the long run, but you got to find your entry point and step up your game after you get through the door. Just like you're mentioning with that group.
Yeah, and it helps to have a song blow up on social media too. Like, Idol blew up. Idol by Yoasobi.
Mm-hmm.
That song blew up. Also, I know it. Was it America's Next Best Dancer? Or I don't know. I don't remember what the name of that show is, but or was it America's Got Talent? Like that. There was there was that group of Japanese women that all like look the same, and they.
Yes, I know who you're talking about, and their names escape me at the moment. The dance group,
like they did Idol at one point.
Idol?
Yeah, they did. They danced to Idol one time.
Okay, and I will look up. I will look them up. Talent 2024. What year was that? 2024.
This was last year, I believe.
Yeah, this was last year's America's Got Talent, right? So
yeah, that just tells you how big Oshinoko got as well.
Anyway, if anybody remembers the group's name, let me know. It's on the tip of my tongue. That group too. They are that is on the tip of my tongue. But America's Got Talent it's season 19, I believe it was, right?
It was Avant-Garde.
Avant-Garde, yeah, that's them. So it was Avant-Garde who became one of the bigger things to have come out in recent years from America's Got Talent.
Looks like it was 2023.
Oh, it was the 2023 edition. Okay, Avant-Garde. Yeah. But yeah, they're around. So maybe okay, but then if you don't want to if they don't want to take that route, if a lot of artists don't want to take the Annie song route, then okay, find a way. It's possible, I guess. It's possible via social media. It's possible to get viral in another form. So find it, but I'd say don't dismiss it. Don't take every opportunity given. So that's where I am on that. But this is, my last take is just, this is another take on the tension between the art and the business, as I like to say, where we are of whatever, of any form of any form of pop culture, whether it's Korean or Japanese or American or Canadian. I think that's where Canada will have to be sooner or later. But that's another thought, I guess, for another time. But there's the whole bits, some of the stuff I want to talk about when it came to, the current state of the J-pop and K-pop and the music scenes there.
Oh, I need more of them to come here.
Maybe that's part of it too. Take a chance on North America a little more. I mean, it's not as if artists aren't trying, but you're only hearing so much right now, right? And
we just don't get as many of them to come up here.
Oh, we're specifically to Canada?
Yeah, we're pretty small beans, relatively speaking. So
I'm sure
kind of tough.
I'm sure America certainly sees it that way.
And right now, like they will go to the States most times to do concerts.
Well, sure. Where the money is, 10 times as much.
Yeah.
Come on up for eggs. Sorry. Okay, well, that's where we are. That's the whole bit with that. I think.
All right, so what's next?
What else do you want to talk about? Well, you did mention Johnny's. Do we really want to talk Fuji TV for a few minutes?
Well,
do we really want to talk about the Masahiro Nakai scandal? At least, this is now beating on a dead horse because that story is over.
What is there really to say? Like
beyond that, beyond what's already been said. I mean,
I don't bring it up in the last episode. I don't remember.
No, we haven't brought up the scandal yet, but considering we the two of us have talked about the Johnny's scandal, and now we're talking about a scandal that's taken down a former member of SMAP, one of the signature Johnny's groups, Masahiro Nakai, who was caught up in let's call it an inappropriate conduct scandal of some sort. Because really not much is known about the specifics of whatever it is. It's just that it happened and it wasn't good. And the way Fuji and Nakai is a major part of the was past tense because he's been forced into retirement in the process. Was a major part of Fuji TV's programming as an actor and as a TV presenter. It seemed like he was the cornerstone there, and they tried to, downplay it as much as they could, and it works most of the time. It didn't this time because I guess money was involved. Money was involved this time around, and it was ugly. There is a nice little 14-minute summary by Mujin on YouTube. Probably is a good summary if you want to hear, if you like the Sean Fraud aspect to it and seeing what's going on, because it's hurt Fuji pretty badly where it matters the most, in the pocketbooks, because the scandal has pulled all of their advertising, and it kind of came to a head about almost a month ago now, I think, when the heads were forced to do a 12-hour, I think it was a 10-hour news conference. I said 14, 10, 12, a long news conference, and it culminated with the president and I think with the CEO being forced to resign in light of the scandal.
Huh.
This is messy. It's a pretty messy situation, and all the other networks are now checking to make sure that something like that isn't going on behind the scenes there. Although you wonder what will happen should something be uncovered. Will they disclose, or will they just try and take a shovel? Can you dig it? Right. What Okay, so aside from the other the usual outrage as there should be with these type of things, what comes to mind? What else comes to mind for you? Like, is it one of those the apple doesn't fall far from the trees type of things when you compare it to Johnny's? Sort of that thought sort of comes to mind. Can I take another angle with you on this one though, Kevin? Oh wait, is Kevin there still?
Yeah, what is it?
My angle is remember a few years back we talked about Fuji having agreements with Netflix. A lot of Fuji stuff in recent months and in recent years, like a lot of recent Fuji shows have been popping up on Netflix over the last little while, and even Netflix has been allowed to take rights to certain Fuji properties and add a new season. So that's what you got with Midnight Diner. The last 2 seasons of Midnight Diner were a co-production between Fuji and Netflix. The last season of Iron Chef America was Netflix produced. And then over the last couple months, a few back catalog series have shown up from Fuji on Netflix. Bayside Shakedown is probably the most noteworthy, right? There's a lot of other stuff. I think I should check. Was Long Vacation a Fuji show? I'm not sure. And that's considered one of the great J dramas, right? And funny enough, that starred another Johnny's SMAP member, Takuya Kimura, right? And it was on Fuji TV.
Kimutaku, yes.
Yeah, he was on. That's one of the greats. I mean, the list goes on and on. This could hurt Fuji, and a lot of people are quite fine with that. But it's worth noting they might be one of the few networks right now that have been willing to give properties on this long topic we've had over the last hour about J-pop music being so heavily isolated of producers' own doing there. Fuji TV has been giving it a shot at the international market as of late, and then this is happening.
I feel like perhaps it is indeed the case of the apple not falling far, because whether victims realize it or not, they are affected by their assaulter even long after it's happened. I don't know if he was one of Johnny Kitagawa's victims back in the day. It's likely. We don't truly know. Well, unless it really was documented, but wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. It may lead to them thinking that this is just what you do to get ahead. And Japan is a very patriarchal society, so there's a possibility that plays into it as well. On top of having power and money and all that stuff.
Yeah. Forget putting it aside, or just more like not putting it aside, but putting it alongside the whole money and power thing. Yeah, there's that. Is that thinking that abuse victims become abusers themselves too, right? There is that thinking.
And Japan is that type of society where they'll label women over 25 as like Christmas cakes or like things like that. So, and these are just jokes people make and don't even think about it.
Well, this is where we are, right? So, as I said,
it's very unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, and it's kind of shining a light again on these type of things. And you wonder, what type of change will it facilitate? I mean, that's my line. That's where I am. It's just, you like to think it'll do something.
Yeah, I know. Now that hopefully will change faster than it is. You know.
You hope.
I think slowly but surely it will. You know, if I can believe one person who can change the minds of men, it's Hosho Marine of Hololive.
Okay.
Because she has famously declared that you know, the age of 30 is in demand. I think that was her.
Really? That's
like a in VTuber culture, that's kind of a joke in some ways, because just because there's always that stereotype that, oh, women over 30 are not desirable, but then there are more and more people advocating that no, we want older women. Older women deserve love, because they do.
Oh, yeah, that. Oh, we're at that age anyway. It was funny that I still find it hilarious that the image I'm showing right now is from the BBC website that's talking about the scandal, because they were the ones who really broke open the whole Johnny Kitagawa thing a couple of years back.
I'm not a fan of that suit jacket. Wait, go back to that image.
You want to see that one more time?
I need to see this again.
Why? Why? Because you want to etch that in your brain or something?
Well, I think of this. So I can't tell if that's a vest or a sport jacket. I'm assuming it's a sport jacket.
I'm thinking looking at that picture, it looks like a sport jacket to me.
Yeah, the sleeves look very short if that's the case. And
well, maybe he rolled it up.
No, that's a weird. No, it doesn't look like it's rolled up to me, because that brown part looks like the cuff. And
you think it's stretched out? It's almost stretched out.
Yeah,
despite the wrinkles.
Weird. And I would not have worn that shirt either. Ugh.
Well, when you were a former J-pop star,
it's too contrasty,
or
in a bad way.
Okay, but they can rock it a little better than I know I could. Do you want me to take that image off now? Have you etched it into your brain?
Yeah, you can take that off. I just need to criticize that outfit.
Well, to anyone listening, watch the video. You'll know what he's talking about. Look, it's, as I said, I'm really curious to see what ultimately the ramifications will be. And it's not just, it's, as I said, it's not to the not to him, but to Fuji themselves. A lot of people are, as I said, taking a lot of glee in watching that company squirm right now, if not burn, right? Because a lot of people are wondering, could this be a matter of survival now for Fuji? Because apparently they are they get most of their revenue from ads, and most of them are gone now. So this is a story worth watching. This is a story I'm fascinated by because of, well, how could it affect any international distribution of properties that they've been willing to make available? Because as I said, they seem like the only broadcaster and production company that seem willing to try this right now. On the topic of J-dramas and Japanese movies not really getting out there, right? But something to think about. Anyway, I think we've talked long enough for the evening. Just quickly, anything to mention before we call it a night? I mean, we've been
gonna quickly go over the Animigo licenses that happened about a week ago.
I know. Yeah, it was last week, just before Valentine's Day, or was it during? Yeah, I know James will have a thought, but what's yours? Just quickly.
It's cool to see the Blackjack OVAs finally coming out, because sometimes we always wonder if they ever would, and so it's good to see them finally coming out. It's one of Osamu Dazaki's directorial works. It's always good to see his stuff get more exposure over time, especially with Blackjack. Can't really claim to know much about Romeo's Blue Skies or Sasuke. I know that Sasuke is like one of those like 60s titles, and it's interesting that Justin decided to pick this of all things. I don't know, it just feels very like feels a little out of left field for me, at least. And while I never did watch Vampire Princess Mew, it's always nice to see a older title come back, because this looks like a relicense of sorts, because they've had it in the past.
It's been really identified with them, to be honest, at least through its history. Okay, so there's William's article on anime trending. So I'll scroll through and you can kind of see a lot of what was mentioned.
I actually also did not know that they licensed Full Moon. Like that's
looking for the Full Moon. Full Moon Wagashi.
Yes. Full Moon Full Moon wo Sagashite. Yeah. That was always my favorite Arina Tanemura work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy that that's finally going to be out in fall, because Viz canceled their release of it way back in the day. I think this is roughly 20 years ago at this point, almost 20 years, because Viz only put up I think 6 DVDs. They released about half of the show, and then due to low sales, they canned it.
Well, so there's that. Yeah, I didn't really know about that. This is the one I know that James and I will probably pay attention to. This documentary that Justin Siracus is working on, the anime business.
Oh yeah, because he was saying that he was doing that on and off. Like he didn't know if he was going to do it continue at one point, but then basically it was just kind of being worked on the side. So I'm assuming he's putting more time and resources in it now.
Yeah, this looks like a really interesting documentary. Should it eventually come to pass? I guess it will, but I mean, if fans, not that I wonder how much our younger fandom cares about this, but if you really want to start to track the last 30 years, maybe the better, even further back. But if you want to track our fandom and how it's evolved since maybe the 80s, I guess the late 80s, even further back, this is that's a watch. Nobody's Boy Remy, I've heard of this. And that's been licensed
previously released by was Justin involved in that, or was that Sam Panansky? I kind of don't remember anymore.
And with the 3D glasses and the Pulfrich effect, I think that was also in some.
That was Imagination, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, Imagination that had it.
I think that was Imagination. I remember Justin being involved within the past, if my memory serves correctly. Yeah, it was Imagination, because I know I'm on the ANN page, and I remember those being direct to DVD, not direct to DVD. It was basically done on like DVD on demand or whatever. Like,
oh yeah, I think I heard about that history. Yeah. Anyway, but there's a fascinating thing right there. And this is the part that kind of caught my attention, the 3D glasses that they want to include, the Pulfrich effect, which was an experimental. I think I knew about it in some 90s cartoons as well. So I think Yo Yogi, which was a take on reimagining Yogi Berra as a teenager. They had scenes I would have used this. Anybody, you remember the show? I don't know if you remember the show Botsmaster.
No.
Okay, that was a show that was in the 90s as well. They had scenes that would use that would use this effect as well, and would have you use these glasses, and they would give you a cue when to put on the glasses too.
Oh, okay.
So but this is one of the early examples of using that, and they'll include the 3D glasses in case you want to see it, right? And you kind of got a sense of it in the trailers, what it could look like. But hey, It's nothing like 3D. You'll be able to appreciate it more if you decide to get this and the glasses that result. But there you go. Just let me quickly scroll down because there's a little bit more to mention. No, there isn't. But there's William's article, and there's the takeaways from the Animigo town hall. I guess the Valentine's town hall, and I guess it's still up there for just a little longer. I guess we'll poll James especially as to what caught his attention in the very near future.
Yeah, it's I don't follow anime as much as I used to, but back in like the aughts and like 2010s, I was in the thick of buying DVDs and Blu-rays and looking up news on this stuff too. It's always nice to tune into those town halls that like Animigo or Discotheque does. Those are always it's always nice. You get to see a lot of the old Taku community come out from the woodwork.
The old Taku, yeah, they do come out a lot of the longtime fans of our fandom, a longtime members of our fandom come out to watch those. They will comment, and to younger fans, it's always encouraged to watch them because you can get a little bit of history. You can see where our fandom's been. You can get a history lesson both on the industry and us as fans. Just watching one of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's worth watching, and if you want to know, appreciate our roots as a fandom in North America, those directs are always worth watching. And maybe, and who knows, maybe you'll actually gain a respect for it too. I know, tongue in cheek there, but anyway, that's I almost said for anything you're looking forward to or anything you're up to over the week that might be worth mentioning, Kevin.
Well, I'm gonna go to a flea market on Sunday. We'll see how that goes.
The nerd market. Yes, I heard about this. So, maybe we'll mention it. Mention it in the socials. As for me, a few other things to catch up on, but watch maybe some watching. I haven't done that because I've gone in favor of setting up the stream. So hopefully within the next day or so, I'll actually begin Yakuza Kiwami 2, and I'll share it with everybody on the stream.
Yeah, I'm on the Pikmin 4 grind right now.
That's yours?
Yeah, and I've picked Shin Megami Tensei 5 back up, and not Vengeance.
There's your play.
Not SMT5 Vengeance, which is the re-release with most of the DLC on it and some new DLC on top. But I am actually playing the old release because I paid for the DLC that is now included in Vengeance, and I am insistent that I play it through to the end because I paid for it.
You paid for it. Yes.
Yep.
And I buy my stuff not on sale. Okay.
Because I actually I sold my copy of the original SMT5 last year, so now I'm actually borrowing it from the library to try and finish it off.
Good luck. Hopefully there isn't a wait list for it.
It's fine.
Well,
they'll tell me when I can't renew it anymore.
Well, there you go. Well, that's that, right? There's lots of stuff to do, despite as much as we say we don't have a life. We do. So it's just that we have our own different things to do. As I said, maybe I'll see you on the stream, and we'll figure it out, and we'll start to figure other things out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we can talk with the others pretty soon. So, but we all have lives, and really, this is late night is about the only time me and you can talk with everybody else. Thanks a lot, Kevin.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, that's it. You've reached the end of this episode and the end of this Space Heater. Let us know what you think wherever you're watching or listening to this, either in the comments down below or animeroundtable.com. If you're seeing this on YouTube, do us a big favor and give us a thumbs up. It'll greatly help us and the roundtable as a whole. And while you're at it, do yourself one final favor. give us a subscribe on YouTube, a follow on Twitch, and a bookmark wherever you get your podcasts. That way, we'll definitely see you back here next time. And hopefully next time is tomorrow when I finally start Yakuza. Thanks for the time.
And Kiwami? Or are you doing Kiwami 2?
Kiwami 2.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, Kiwami 2. And then maybe I'll be and then you'll get to see my reactions because I'll be seeing a lot of that for the first time.
Did you play Zero yet? I don't remember.
Have you?
No, have you played Zero yet?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I played that like 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And then I played Kiwami 1 not too long after. And then I've held off because I want to share the experience of playing Kiwami 2 with all 5 of you out there. So hope you can come along for the ride when it finally begins later this week.
I'm waiting for Kiwami to come in from limited run, so it'll take like 6 months probably.
Enjoy it. It's a good play. Trust me. I still have good memories of it. So
I just hope the Switch can handle it.
Switch 2 will. I'm sure.
Yeah, I imagine it will. It's just I won't buy that until the mid-cycle refresh, most likely.
when they what? Yeah, bigger when they OLED it.
When they OLED it, yeah, because I wouldn't be surprised if the Switch 2 is just a LED screen.
I think I guess we'll learn the specs on April 2nd, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want me to repeat it again? AnimeRoundtable.com. You already know where to find us.
Yeah.
You already did. Just come on back later this week, okay? I'll let everyone know.
All right.
Beyond that, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and get some sleep. Good night.
All right. Good night.